Disclaimer. This podcast is intended for viewers above 13 due to the graphic nature of this murder case. Viewers' discretion is highly advised.
Hello, my name is Vienna Raymonds of the United Nations Department of the Unsolved and Unexplained, a department dedicated to archiving the unsolved crimes of the world. I have been tasked to read out yet another case file. My God. An extremely old case file that hasn't been solved in over 100 years. 134 years of mystery in one case file. What an honor. Yet another famous unsolved murder known by even people who only dabble in unsolved criminality. You may know him as the Leather Apron, the Whitechapel murderer, or in his most well-known and memorable title, Jack the Ripper. 1888, Whitechapel, East End of London, England.
Welcome to The Unsolved, a podcast where Officer Vienna Raymonds will be taking you back to the classic stories of cold murder cases. Episode 2, Jack the Ripper.
Statement begins. At the crack of dawn on August 31st, 1888, a dead body was discovered on Bucks Row, Whitechapel, by Charles Cross at 3:40 a.m. in the morning.
Oh gosh, what is that? Help! Anyone! Help! Someone call the police!
The body belonged to one 43-year-old Mary Ann Polly Nichols. Nichols's body was found on her back, lying in a pool of her own blood. Her throat had been severely and horrifically slashed. She had been disemboweled. Some organs were butchered and taken. Her nightgown and gloves were completely saturated in her own blood, under a street lamp on the West End. It had been confirmed that this murder occurred not 30 minutes before Cross found her body. The street was empty. Not a soul was seen when Cross walked down that path. September 8th, 1888. The body of 47-year-old Annie Chapman was discovered on 29th Hanbury Street by John Davis. Her body was in a similar state as Nichols. On her back, throat brutally slashed. However, whoever the killer was, along with disembowelment, had taken her womb, which caused investigators at the time to conclude that this killer was a doctor, or at least anatomically knowledged. On the evening of September 27th, later that month, a letter had been sent to the Central News Agency. The letter itself had been lost to time, however, a copy was made for the sake of documentation, which I will read out as followed.
Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about Leather Apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work that last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers just for jolly. Wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. P.S. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands, curse it. No luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now?
3 days later, on the 30th of September, Elizabeth Stride had been found dead on Berner Street by Louis Diemschutz. Many people have speculated that this killing may not have been the Ripper due to the cause of death being a sloppy slice to the throat. Police say the reason why this murder was so hastily done in comparison to the others was that the killer might have been interrupted mid-murder by Doomshots. While investigating Stride's body, west end of the crime scene, not a few kilometers away, another body was discovered in Mitre Square, the body of Catherine Eddowes. Seemingly to make up for the hasty job on Stride, the Ripper had mutilated her face, almost making it unrecognizable. Just like the other victims, Eddowes was disemboweled. Her left kidney along with her uterus had been carved out of her body and taken by the killer. The very next day, the police received a postcard, one from the leather apron himself. Inside is as stated.
I was not codding dear old boss when I gave you the tip. You'll hear about Saucy Jackie's work tomorrow. Double event this time. Number one squealed a bit, couldn't finish straight off, had not the time to get ears for police. Thanks for keeping the last letter back till I got to work again. Jack the Ripper.
A lot of people have stated that this letter was most likely fabricated. However, this postcard was sent a day after Stride and Eddowes were murdered. At the time, it would have been impossible for a prankster to fabricate the letter, since the printing press hadn't published the double murders in the papers. Especially considering the specification of Stride's murder being hastily done, no one but the police would have known, unless it was the Ripper himself who sent the card. The last and final victim, Mary Kelly. November 9th, 1888, 13 Miller's Court. Unlike the other four, she wasn't killed on the street, she wasn't even killed outside. She had been murdered in her own house. Her landlord had found her, still in her bed, clothes neatly folded, as if readying for sleep. Not only was she disemboweled like the other women, she had been skinned down. This doesn't appear to be just murder. This one seemed personal. These 5 murders were later dubbed the Canonical Five. Scotland Yard, along with the general public, have concluded there are at least 8 suspects for the killings, ranging from asylum hoppers to the Prince of England himself. But time seems to be mocking me and the rest of the department, as not only have they completely lost the other manuscripts for the other 4 murder suspects, but the majority of Scotland Yard's reports for the remaining 4 have been eaten away by time. How unfortunate. For the time being, I shall read out to the most concrete and popular suspect we have on record, Joseph Barnett. Those who have claimed to have seen the Ripper say he's around the ages of 25 to 35, between 5'5" to 5'7" in height, and stocky with a mustache. Barnett fits this description perfectly. The reason why he's such a popular suspect among Ripperologists was because he actually lived with one of the victims, the last of the Canonical Five, Mary Kelly, seemingly to be in love with her, even claiming Kelly his wife, despite only being roommates. When they fell victim to financial struggles and alcohol, they often got into fights, some escalating drastically. On one occasion, the living room window had been broken in the midst of an argument. After the window incident, Barnett moved out of their shared house, and 10 days later, Kelly was murdered. Since Kelly and the other Canonical Five shared an occupation, it is speculated Barnett would have been on friendly terms with the victims, hence why he had been able to kill them with little struggle. His knowledge of the Whitechapel district roads would have explained why the Ripper seemed so light on his feet when escaping the crime scenes. More so, the fact that Kelly was murdered in her own house in her sleep was suspicious, as Barnett would have either still had the keys to their shared house when he moved out, or Kelly would have let him in. The murder did stop with Kelly, Barnett's supposed love. This case is one of many that, unfortunately, due to the sheer ancientness of this crime, we aren't able to fully know who did it. It's a shame, really. My one hope is that the Canonical Five had found peace in the last century. And whoever Jack the Ripper truly was, may hell be harsh on him. Statement ends.
Here's a word from today's sponsor, Warung N23, aka The Orange Stall. They offer a huge variety of dishes ranging from satay pleching to their most popular dish, Japanese katsu curry. And also, you can't miss out on their weekly free appetizers, so make sure to check out their stalls every Friday. In the next episode of Unsolved, we are going to talk about one of the most famous unsolved murder case in American history, the Zodiac Killer. For more updates, reviews, and fun facts, you can check out our Instagram page at Unsolved Regents. This episode of Unsolved was produced by Arena, Kimi, Kanya, and Hungo. It was written by Arena and edited by Kimi. Vienna Raymonds was voiced by Arena, Jack the Ripper was voiced by Jack, and Charles Cross was voiced by Arvin. The artwork of this podcast was created by Kanya. Music was produced by David Wesleyan, Luke House, and Real Tunes Studios, and the sound effects are from freesound.org and produced by Kimi. Special thanks to our guest actors, Jack and Arvin, and Mr. Nick Trainer, our media studies teacher, for guiding the production of this podcast. This has been a Regents Media production.